Well, glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh no, that is so awesome! It is actually a pleasure to have you here on After Five Radio, and thank you so much for your time. I know you're probably a busy man, but you know what? You made it. Thank you.
I made it. Thank you. All right.
You are so welcome. Hi, nasi tati chingonzwa kuti zvoni hey vanhu vari kungoimba zverudo asi mimi kutoti rudo aiwa muchazvirega. Jeez, we are actually going to get into that. But before we get into that, would you like to bring our listeners up to speed with your upbringing, a little bit about your background, where you're from, what you're all about? Tisati tashika kuna Julian King. Yeah, not the Julian Kanu.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, so stage name is Julian King. I started music around 2014, which is when I was back at Africa University. That's where I did my undergrad. So I'm officially an accountant.
What?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll get into that.
So I did that, and I worked at the banking sector as an accountant and in internal auditing a little bit. So I just started taking music really seriously around 2018. And that was pretty much it. I grew up with my grandparents most of the time. And then the other time I was like with my aunts and for some time with my mom. And that was it. And fast forward, here I am.
Fast forward, here you are. But each time I get to talk to people, I'm sorry, this is going to get a bit too personal. Each time, because we kind of relate in a way. And for a long time, I used to think it was my only story, if I should put it that way. But only to learn, like you've just mentioned, Guti, you were brought up by your grandparents, and then here and there, your mom, and, how has that molded you to being the Julian that you are today? Like, do you feel you missed out on some stuff? And the love part of it, but I guess that's where the song will come in. But I find that to be a bit too, it actually touches me. It's a story that a lot of people have, but it's huge for me, and I feel the need to, ask your outcome or your feeling afterwards, or how what molded you to being Julian, the Julian that you are today, not having parents 100% in it.
I mean, I'm really grateful to God, but if I said I didn't get love, I would be lying. Okay. I think my grandparents did a really good job in just standing in as parents. And if I didn't tell you that they were my grandparents and not my actual parents, you might have never known. That's how good the relationship was. Yeah. And I totally understand where you're coming from and what you're saying. And I completely get people who have that kind of story, but it just wasn't really me in my case.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And we thank God for that.
Absolutely.
All right. So how about your stage name? How did the King come about? Yes, Mr. Julian King. How did it come about? Because I noticed there is another Julian King. Didn't you feel, well, I need to kind of change it up, or what? Can I continue with Julian King?
So my mutupo is actually Ngaramaposa, and it's called Wamambo. So there's that. So in a way, it from my Mutupo side, it kind of is my last name, anyways, because we are called Wamambos. And so I mean, I noticed there was a Julian King, and I immediately knew it was going to be a numbers thing, right? It was going to be about who does better than the other, and all that. So I knew he had a better footing than I had because he went to the Voice America, but I got verified on Facebook before he did because I'm verified and he's not. And just one time I was talking to him because he had uploaded a song and it appeared on my list. So I was like, "Hey man, how you doing?" So this happened, and it's like, "Oh, okay, man, I appreciate you." So yeah, we have a good relationship, and that's how the name came about. And I think ultimately, from a Christian standpoint, Jesus being the King of Kings means we are kings. So that's the other one right there to say Julian King, because Jesus is the King of Kings. Yeah.
We love that. We love that. That reminds me of one of your videos that I watched where you were saying, "Pretty," and somebody literally said, "I just hate this guy." And you thought, like, what the hell? Even Jesus, people hated Jesus. As much as you were so perfect, we are not perfect. And then I'll be cool with that. But if you can hate somebody who was perfect, who am I?
Exactly. I'm flattered that you watched that.
I was laughing. I was like, "You're the man. You're the man," because that's exactly what we talk about right here on Tough Love Giggles. I am so I love authenticity. I love people to be open. I know our culture may not allow us to be authentic and open, but we throw it right here. Titty boo.
Exactly.
No, that was a cool video, and I loved it. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Job. So, congratulations on your latest single. Iyo yajonera kupengesa yatukona my challenges on Instagram. Hanzi muchajirega. Jeez. I listened to the song.
Okay.
And I started reflecting on what's happening in life. Like social media, talk about social media being an influence. But it's set up in there, Coco. To not that times go from you. What inspired your writing of that song? Tell us about it. Tell us more.
Right. So it's actually so funny. One of the things that people talk about a lot is my creativity, and it happens sometimes even in freestyles. So it had happened.
No, you're hilarious.
Yeah, thank you. So it just so happened that it was this one week where a lot of things had happened in the same week. There's a popular couple that the lady left the guy in Dubai in the same week. And then there was a video that came out of a Zimbabwean lady, and somebody was smoking, and they were blowing smoke into her pants, and she looked really uncomfortable, And I even did a video on abuse. I mean, specific to that, to just that video. So it's in those days where I've also grown to have a TikTok following based on my giving relationship advice. And not that I'm an expert, but I'm just honest, I guess, in my opinion, and I'm just raw and I'm just authentic like that. So people have caught on to it. So in that vibe and in that spirit, I just took my guitar and started freestyling, and that's when I did that. So when I did it, it went more viral than, I know what I do is good and whatever, but sometimes your content, outperforms your expectations. So that's what happened in that case. So I just spoke to my producer and I was like, "Hey, you know what? I was singing this and I was playing around. I hadn't even written it like that, but I feel like we got something here. So please do an instrumental and I'll sing on it." So that's how we did it. And he did the instrumental, I sang on it, and boom. So yeah.
So we thought it was a personal story. Nya juice.
Sorry to disappoint you.
I'm
It's personal, but
disappointed.
not
I'm
to me.
disappointed. I'm disappointed.
It's it's personal to me.
Ah, guys. But then, okay, so just out of like your personal opinion, really, what do you
Mhm.
make of today's relationships as we speak here on air?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of internet expectations, a
Yeah.
lot of internet comparisons where I feel like a couple of people actually have something good going on, but they compare it to an internet standard,
Mm,
uh, which you know, which then just gets you thinking, does my partner really then love me? You know, because
mm,
I mean, you have your person, and uh, maybe the way they express their love to you is by just spending quality time with you and just making sure they have 100% of your attention and all
mm,
that, and you have 100% of theirs. And
mm.
then you look through social media, my roses 1,000, and you're like, wow,
As well,
that must
I
be
like that.
that must be real love. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you're thinking, so does my guy really love me since he's
Mm,
never given me even 50 roses, you know?
mm,
So I feel like there's a lot of comparison that happens around the internet, and we lack good examples of what a good relationship is supposed to be.
perfect. That's true.
And so that, coupled with other things, going back to Zimbabwe, even economically, relationships are being affected now because some people have certain economic expectations in terms of what the other person is supposed to do. If
Mhm.
they don't do it, they're labeled a bad partner, and then they leave them for someone else, and it's
Mhm.
not even supposed to be like that. So yeah, it's a whole lot of stuff going on.
Ah, sure. Chiruba. Panachashirika, honest. I agree with you on this one. I agree with you. Anyway, just there as well. So you started music 2018, like started recording professionally 2018,
Mhm.
you said, but then you started discovering your love for music 2014, you said?
14 years.
14. So how did you discover your passion for music?
So I am a church boy, which
Okay.
which is obvious to some people by now. So I grew up, and I still do.
Mhm.
Almost every Sunday, Julian King will be leading worship at some church. That's
Mm,
my life.
right.
So I grew up singing in the church, and that's why I also have a lot of church context in terms
Mhm.
of my music, because I mean that's what I
That's
grew up around, right? So that's when I started, and I remember I was in Mutare, and
Mhm.
I had this pastor. His name was Pastor Jacob Temple, bless his soul. He's since passed, and
Okay.
I guess he's maybe the first pastor at his level to take me seriously,
Mm,
and really be like, hey, I know you think you're just doing this, but I feel like you have something. I feel like you have something, and you have the opportunity to really be serious about it and
mm,
grow in your influence in it and all that. So that was like so he like made me see myself in that light. So I would say church helped me
mm.
discover that. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that is so awesome, and we thank him
Yeah.
for that. May his soul rest in peace. So with
For
that
real.
being said, so you already know, or do you listen to Jonathan Mcreynolds?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of
Oh.
my favorite. If I listed the top 3, he would probably make it up
And
there.
talk about comparison kills. Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Yep.
honesty. That's honesty.
It is. I
People
mean,
are just
everything.
pretty
Comparison kills. People. No
people.
gray.
Yes.
Moving on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, adulting.
I
That
thought.
just
Oh, I
recently
haven't
came
listened to
out.
Adulting. Is it one of his latest?
Yes, it's so he was on tour recently and they recorded that during the tour. So yeah.
Perfect. I will look for it. I will look for. I remember the People album being the last, but
Right.
I am a fan too. Top three.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
good. That's
he's
good.
amazing. He's so talented, just as
Yeah.
you are. And so
Thank
you've
you.
also spoken about you being an accountant, right? And now we're talking about music. And so are you thinking of eventually? Okay, I don't even know where to start this question. It's going to be loaded. Pay attention. I'm one person who just thinks as we speak. Sorry. That's
No
why
problem.
I can't even give
Bring it on.
questions to anybody. I can't. So you mentioned you being an accountant, which was when you started at AU, right? And coming to America, did you continue with that career to start with? Or you know how like when you come overseas, it's a different ball game. You can either you stay in it or you're gonna have to advance and all the jazz or change industry, get into trades and like it's just, you know, the drill. So did you, the first part of the question, did you continue pursuing accounting when you moved to the States?
So I actually did in a way. So what happened was after I graduated, I did a little bit of internal auditing and I fell in love with the concept of consulting. So when I came to the US, right now I am almost halfway through my MBA and my major is strategy. So yeah, so that's what's happening.
Oh, congratulations. Now
Thank you.
moving back. Then when it comes to music, is it something that you look forward to making it full time? Or you know how everybody is trying to, they have an 8 to 5 job and then they have a side hustle, be it music, be it acting, be it whatever. Do you anticipate or see yourself having to gravitate towards music 100, or what's your plan on that?
So I have never said this about myself. This is probably the first time me saying it, but
the questions.
I see you celebrating. I work harder than some people who do music 100% and just music, right?
Really?
Oh yes. If you look going back past maybe the past 12 months or 15 months, I have done 2 EPs. I have recorded about maybe 5 videos.
I saw that.
So I really put in the work, right? And music to me is a form of expression, and I have never done just one thing, because even when I had an office job, I would still go and sing. I would still even get studio breaks during lunch, and so I am pretty much just living life. You know, to me, I don't think I'll ever get to a point where I'm like, yeah, this thing Chirichega deserves 100% of my attention, because there's music, there's work, and then there's business. So it's just life, and I just treat it as such. And I don't compromise on any of the three. If I'm doing work, I'm doing work perfectly. If I'm doing music, I'm doing music perfectly. And I have nobody to please by saying, yes, I'm doing music 100%. Because what a person who's doing music only does is still what I'm doing right now. You know, like I have some of the best engagement on social media. I have a very quick turnout rate in terms of song delivery. And my audience is kind of broad, from the church people to just young people in general, you know. So yeah, that's pretty much me. I do everything at the same time, and I try to make sure I don't compromise on the quality of any of the three.
How do you cope? Like, do you know
Because to me
burnout?
it's
Like,
right,
I once
right.
did what you did, and
Mhm.
I burnt out, and thank God for Corona. I'll tell you that for a fact. And it gave me
You
a
just
taste of
blame
what
you just blamed it on the Rona, huh?
no, I'm not blaming it on Corona. I am
Mm.
thanking Corona for
Okay.
Corona.
It gave
I
you a
am
break.
it gave me a break, and now I am ready to rock and roll again because I've been, I'm rejuvenated. I'm happy. I am
Right.
picking it up. I am like, okay, I love being around people a lot. That's why I
Mhm.
cannot do this whole virtual stuff. I can if it's radio, but when it
Right.
comes to the talk show, we have to face to face, right? So,
Mhm.
and I totally get what you mean, because you have your full time job, but you don't do just with 100%. I'll divide this, whatever, but you put
Mhm.
your all right in it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
feel that eventually you end up burning out. Maybe it was just me, maybe I overdid it too. Right, but I never used to get it when Pastor Devon Franklin used to say it. Could you need to take a break because you burn out
Mhm.
these days?
Mhm.
But when
Mhm.
I felt it, I was like, oh, shikes, is that how it
Mhm.
feels, right? So aren't
Right.
you afraid
Right.
of that too? I don't know.
I've actually come across a close a comment that was close to that, and my
Mhm,
response is,
mhm,
for me, I think it's easier because of the amount of effort it takes me to be creative, which is almost zero. Okay. So
mhm,
I then dedicate my time and skill to like improve my writing or improve my diversity in terms of sound and whatever.
mhm,
And it almost feels as if I do music when I'm not doing everything else. So like whatever time, let's say you had a 9 to 5 when you did it Monday to Friday, right?
mhm, mhm,
Whenever like you come back from work, say on a Tuesday,
mhm,
and then you've looked at everything you're supposed to look at and you're chilling at your computer,
mhm.
that's when music comes to mind for me,
Okay.
right? So, and if I think of something during the day and I process it during the day and I record it on my phone, and then when I sit down, that's when I work on it. So, to me, music actually ends up being therapeutic in a way because
Mhm,
it allows me to get that break, and
mhm,
also when I get that feedback from people,
mhm.
uh, that brings me the satisfaction and the feeling of fulfillment. So that keeps me going. So if a 9 to 5 was to give me a check, the comment and the feedback uh, reinforces my fulfillment. I feel like I'm doing something and I'm making impact
Mhm.
when I see that. So it all works together pretty well.
That's great. That's good to hear.
Hmm.
And for those who are actually just tuning in and joining us right now, we are actually hanging out with the talented artist, also an accountant, we just learned, who's based out in the United States of America, and we're getting to know his journey. We're getting to know how he does music. We got to know about how Mochal Jirega came about, and we're so grateful for
Right.
that. Right. And so as we conclude like our interview, there's still a couple of more questions that I'm going to
Hmm.
just to go fast on them.
Okay.
Is at the beginning of your career, you also mentioned that the pastor is the one that actually saw the talent in you and kind of
Hmm.
pushed you, propelled you to you know start and go for it, right? But how
Yeah.
was your support system since then? Definitely the pastor was your number one at that moment, but then how about
Uh-huh.
everybody else surrounding you?
Uh, I thank God for my family. Just my mom and my brother and uh, the people closest to me.
Mm,
It's rare for the people closest to you to take you seriously because usually when you start something, people close to you are like, yeah, you're going to drop this soon, we know you,
you
or
should like Itare. Why would they just like
exactly, but I guess my family has almost always seen me in that kind of light,
Okay.
even in times when I didn't see myself that way.
Nice.
uh, and you know how African moms are, like my mom would look at me my mom would look at me and, like prophesy and be like, I see you standing in front of people and I see you singing and I see you ministering. I'm like, Mom, no, but so when it started, to her, it was like confirmation of stuff that she'd always been saying and stuff that she'd always been praying for. Right. And then moving out a little bit, I if I had the opportunity to sit down with a group of upcoming artists, I would definitely tell them that the support from your friends and people who know you definitely won't be as much as you think it will be. Because what happens is, as you start out, it looks like people are supporting you, right? Because you're doing something new, so they're excited, right? So there's a little bit of noise and a little bit of acknowledgement and reposting and stuff like that. But then later they see that you're actually consistent and you're pursuing this. They kind of dry out and everything just disappears and you feel like you're on your own and you just feel like it's you against the world. And you kind of have to earn a new audience. So there's a time in every creative's journey. And I feel like this is the same even with business people. And if you start a new business or whatever, there's a time when the people that know you just become spectators. And you kind of have to earn a new audience based on what you're doing, and or how good you are at it. So I went through that phase, and I also thank God. So if you watch some Minister Mayendere videos, if you look next to him, you'll see a guy that's always dancing a little bit, and having more fun than everybody else. That's me. So yes. So for some time, I was a backing vocalist for Minister Mayendere, and during that time, he also just took me under his wing, and he would just give me a heads up about the industry and tell me some stuff, and that really helped as well. That mentorship relation, that mentor-mentee relationship we had in that moment, we did. It was awesome, and it kind of prepared, because I remember when I started, I was like super aggressive and so determined and so focused and pushing on. And then I remember him sitting me down one day, and he says, "Hey, you know what? People don't even know you yet. So what you want to do is attach your face to your work, put yourself out there, let people know who Julian King is."
Yeah.
Leave
a mark. Live it.
Exactly.
Live
So when he said that, I was like, oh, okay. So I can't be timid anymore. If I feel like singing a song, I'm grabbing my guitar, I'm turning on my camera, and I'm recording myself and I'm putting it out there. Whether it sounds good or not, that's none of my business. The more I do it, the better I get at it. Now I'm not famous, but people now can recognize my face because they're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you.
You're famous."
So yeah, so there was that too, and it really helped. So sometimes it helps just putting yourself under the guidance of somebody who's walked the path you're walking. So yeah.
Oh, that is so amazing. And it's also good to learn that you've also been under somebody who's so talented as well. Like Minister Mayendere started with the Mayendere brothers as well, right? But there's always that Justin Timberlake. There's always that Beyonce, in a group.
Yeah.
There's always that one person whose calling is far much greater than being in a group. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we're called to shine. And it doesn't matter in what darkness we are, how dark it is. you are called to shine, and we totally appreciate your music and even just the way you carry yourself, and not
Thank you so
forgetting
much.
your cover. And it's just a blessing. And now we have about 10 minutes and less than 10 minutes. But just to round off, one question, it is so big, the rest are just quite weird. But how have you differentiated yourself in the industry that's becoming more and more populated, competitive? Everybody's getting into the arts industry. There's also, when you mentioned Julian King, who you thought about numbers was the first thought. And then now talk about the likes of Anna. Of course, out there, you're going to meet the likes of Anna, Jonathan Mcreynolds, and Anthony Brown, and all that jazz, right? So how have you differentiated yourself in this industry, and what's keeping you going?
I would guess my uniqueness is in my versatility. My ability to feel like worship today and then give it to you, and then feel like Afropop tomorrow and give it to you, and then do a hymn the other day, and just being versatile is become a strong part of my identity. And I am building a track in terms of just being authentic and being real and being relatable. So that's really my thing. And I try, I'm not going to give you a name, but for example, I had to unfollow a certain artist on social media because I kept comparing myself to them, and I felt like I wasn't doing as good as they were or enough, So I was like, okay, there's a difference between motivation and pressure. So they stopped being a motivation, and it's not even about them. They were just out there minding their business and doing what they were doing, right? But because I kept looking at it and looking at where I was and thinking of, oh, this is what I want, and I don't have this yet, and blah blah blah. So I felt that was getting kind of toxic. So I unfollowed them and focused more on myself, and just improving myself and improving my message and improving the quality of my work. And so that's what we have today. And I'm a versatile African being because I love those elements too, and I make sure they appear in almost everything that I do. And yeah. That is it. That's it.
That's perfect, and I love that. And I just love the fact, I like the fact that you mentioned that, because I feel good. It comes from a greatness background, if I should put it that way, or path, if I should put it that way, because you don't want to be in a space here where you start comparing yourself with somebody. Look at what Oprah used to do. Oprah, before she became Oprah, she was comparing herself to Barbara Walters.
I remember.
But who is Oprah? Think of Oprah as Oprah. You know what I mean? And sometimes you need to stop following these people, because bitter against Munarku, who's doing their life. Literally doing their life, but because you're thinking this, I adore this person, I adore their work, I adore this. What can I do better? And now you're not being yourself, you're not being authentic, and it's not one. I like that. People, I hope you got that jam. And last but not least, with the time that we have, do you mind sharing, like with your fans, the listeners, everybody that's listening and tuned in right now, where they can find your music on all the social platforms? How can they look for you? Do you use the same name? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? We know you're on TikTok, YouTube, you name it.
Right. So the most common tag out of all my platforms is Julian King Official. So that's my Instagram. And if you type that out on Facebook, I have a Julian King page. It's verified, so that means that has the blue check. And then the music is across all music platforms. So that's your YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, anything that you listen to music from. I promise you, I am there. So if you type in Julian King and any song title we're up there.
Thank you, guys. You heard it for yourselves. Chagay, Julian King, everywhere in regards to streaming platforms. But then on Instagram, you can go to Julian King Official, as well as Julian King page on Facebook. How about TikTok? Is it?
TikTok is Julian King Official.
Julian King Official. Yes. So let's go and follow our brother on our social platforms. Let's support each other, guys, as Zimbabweans. And just the one last question, since we have another 4 minutes. What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking of getting into the music industry? And I love the for yourself, what you decided to do with, you know what, Inine, I would rather unfollow this person. It's not out of hate, but it's out of for your growth. You know what I mean?
Yes.
For you to discover your strength, what you're capable of as an individual without comparing yourself to somebody else. But what other advice would you give to somebody who's thinking, okay, I want to get into music, or Tatara Shobita get all in, or how do you write music, or just, advice to give out there?
I would say the first thing, have a very defined reason why you want to do it. Okay. That way, when pressure comes, you'll be able to remind yourself why you do what you do so that you can keep doing it. Because sometimes the results you're looking for don't come in a day. I mean, not sometimes, all the time. They don't come in a day, so you really have to put in the work, and you really have to be patient with yourself. And maybe the most important lesson also is just do it. You're never going to have the perfect song. You're never going to have the perfect camera. You're never going to have the perfect anything. Just do it with the resources you have right now. Just do it. Don't wait for anybody. The growth, you think, oh, I need to grow first and then I'll start. No. People identify to individuals they have seen grow, and you need a core audience that has seen you develop yourself from a certain point to a certain point. So just do it. Just go out there and do it.
Just go Nike, baby. Nike.
Just go Nike with it.
Anyway, thank you so much, Julian. It was a pleasure and an absolute honor to be hanging out with you today. I loved all the gems that you shared today. Like it's stuff Yahuti people already know, but a reminder is good. You know what I mean? And just being relatable, being authentic. Okay, if Julian King can do it, or if Julian King also has these hurdles, then it's okay. It's normal.
Exactly.
Right. And
exactly. Thank you so much for having me as well. I'm looking forward to those invitations to Canada.
Oh, definitely. I
don't be having shows without me
because of what you said. So don't worry about that one. On a different note, and I would definitely talk to you about it off air, and hopefully tomorrow, because I'm done so late today. So I will definitely link up with you tomorrow.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to all the listeners. Thank you.
Thank you so much.